In the distant future, when the stars had become familiar friends and humanity's reach extended far beyond Earth's cradle, there were those who watched from the shadows. The galactic civilizations, vast and powerful, had grown accustomed to ruling over lesser species. Each had its own way of maintaining dominance, some through sheer might, others through cunning diplomacy, but all shared one principle: the submission of the weak. And humanity, with all its potential, was destined to become yet another conquered race. It had been a century since humanity had first encountered the Exol, an alien species of towering, insect-like beings. Their ships were colossal, their technology incomprehensible, and their thirst for conquest unyielding. They had invaded countless worlds, leaving their mark in the form of burned cities and broken civilizations. Earth had been no different. The Exol arrived without warning, their ships emerging from the void like a swarm of locusts descending on a helpless field. At first, humanity had fought. They fought valiantly, stubbornly, with all their might. But the Exol were merciless. They crushed resistance wherever they found it, their weapons devastatingly advanced. And yet, even as the cities of Earth fell, humanity's spirit refused to be extinguished. People rallied together, working tirelessly to develop new strategies, new weapons. But it was all in vain. The Exol were too powerful. In the face of certain defeat, when all seemed lost, something unexpected happened. A message was broadcast across every frequency, from every corner of the human race. It was a signal of surrender, but not the kind the Exol expected. The message was brief and simple: we surrender, but not on our knees. At first, the Exol did not understand. To them, surrender was always absolute, a formal laying down of arms, a symbol of complete submission. But this was different. The message did not request mercy, nor did it beg for life. It was a challenge. Humanity, in that moment, redefined what surrender meant. The Exol, puzzled and intrigued, accepted the terms. They saw no threat in such a gesture. How could they? The humans were broken, their cities in ruins, their armies scattered. What harm could there be in allowing them to give up? The Exol set the terms for the surrender. They would land in the major cities, install their governors, and oversee the peace. Humanity would serve them as all other conquered species had, offering up resources and labor in exchange for survival. The day of surrender arrived, and across Earth, the human race stood before their conquerors. The cities lay silent as the Exol fleet descended, their ships blocking out the sun, casting long shadows over the ground. People lined the streets, not in chains, but in solidarity. They did not bow their heads, nor did they kneel. They stood tall. Humanity had never been a race that bent easily. Their bodies, though fragile, had a resilience that matched their will. And that was what the Exol underestimated. As the Exol leaders stepped down from their ships, they were met with a sight that left them stunned. The humans did not resist, but neither did they submit. They held their ground, eyes locked with the alien invaders. There was no fear, no hesitation, just resolve. "You think you've won?" the human leader, a woman named Mara, said to the Exol emissary. "But you've only taught us a lesson. You've shown us that the fight for survival is not about defeating an enemy. It's about redefining what it means to live." The Exol leader, a towering figure of carapace and cold eyes, seemed momentarily taken aback. "You are defeated. You are ours now. What else is there to say?" Mara smiled, though there was no humor in it. "You think that because you control our land, you control our will. But you don't. You don't know what it is to be human. You think we'll bow to your power. But we won't. We surrender, yes, but we do so on our terms. And our terms are simple: we live, we thrive, and we fight not against you, but against what you represent." The Exol did not understand, but it didn't matter. They were used to seeing creatures submit, to bending them to their will with nothing but fear and domination. But humanity was different. Their strength wasn't in their armies, their weapons, or even their technology. It was in their defiance. The Exol had no way of knowing that while they focused on their grand conquest, humanity had been quietly at work, building something far more powerful than any weapon. They had been building an idea that no conqueror could defeat, the idea that surrender could be a weapon of its own. And as the Exol rulers set up their presence in Earth's major cities, they began to feel a shift. It wasn't immediate, but it was undeniable. The humans, though compliant in the eyes of the Exol, had begun to rise in subtle ways. They rebuilt cities in their own image, improved the technologies the Exol left behind, and created systems that allowed them to function independently. They did not resist directly, but they had found a way to disrupt the invaders' every move. Soon, the Exol leaders began to realize that what they had thought was a simple conquest had turned into something much more complex. Humanity, in its surrender, had not only saved itself, but had begun to subvert the very forces that tried to break it. The more the Exol tried to impose their ways, the more humanity adapted and transformed their systems into something of their own making, something that the Exol could not control. It was then that the Exol realized they had made a grave mistake. They had thought that conquest was about dominance, but humanity had shown them that true power did not lie in subjugation. It lay in the will to persevere, to adapt, and to redefine what surrender meant. And so, as the days turned into years, the Exol began to retreat, their hold on Earth weakening. Humanity had not only survived the invasion, they had rewritten the rules of the game. Humanity had redefined surrender, not as the end of resistance, but as the beginning of a new form of power, one that no invader could ever understand. The day humanity redefined surrender was the day the galaxy learned that no force, no matter how powerful, could ever break the spirit of humankind.